Okay, so today we're going deep on Good to Great by Jim Collins.
Ooh, good pick.
Yeah, it's a really fascinating look at what takes a company, from just being good to being truly great.
Right, right.
And the cool thing is that it's not just, sort of like opinions or anything like that. I mean,
hmm
Collins and his team, they actually did a ton of research, right?
Years and years of research.
Years and
Yeah.
years of research looking at
hmm
companies that had actually made that leap, you know?
hmm
So they were able to identify some pretty clear patterns.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
companies that actually made it and sustained that greatness. They didn't just have like a good year or two. It was like
Oh,
long term.
yeah. And so I think, you know, whether you're running a company or even just leading a team or heck, even just trying to figure out like how to level up in your own personal life,
Right.
there's some really valuable stuff here.
Absolutely. And one of the really interesting things that stood out to me was this idea of level 5 leadership.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I remember that really grabbed my attention too, because it's kind of counterintuitive, right?
Totally.
You think of like a great leader as being, like a big charismatic personality, the loudest voice in the room.
Right, right.
But Collins found that a lot of these level 5 leaders were actually kind of
Humble?
humble.
Yeah.
Yeah, almost even shy at times.
Yeah, and it's not about being the most like outgoing or,
Yeah.
salesy kind of person. It's a different kind of leadership.
So what is it then? What sets them apart?
Well, it's this really interesting mix of personal humility, like you said, and then this incredible professional.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, these leaders, they are ambitious, but their ambition is directed towards the company succeeding, not, their own ego or
Oh,
anything.
that's interesting. So it's like it's not about them, it's about the bigger picture.
Yeah, exactly. And a great example of this is Darwin Smith, the CEO of Kimberly-Clark. He transformed that company, and
Wow.
he was not flashy at all. I mean, he was kind of known for being very low key, but he had this like quiet determination to make Kimberly-Clark great, and he was willing to make tough decisions, even unpopular ones, to get there.
So he was focused on the long game.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Even if it meant kind of shaking things up, challenging the status quo.
Okay, so we've got this idea of level 5 leadership, kind of setting the stage. But then the book also talks about this thing called the Hedgehog Concept.
Oh, yeah, this is a good one.
I love that name. It sounds kind of funny, but
So memorable.
yeah, it's very memorable. So what's the deal with the hedgehog?
Well, the hedgehog concept is all about focus. Just like a hedgehog kind of knows what it's good at and it sticks to it.
Huh.
Great companies, they find their sweet spot.
Yeah.
And it's this intersection of three things:
Okay.
what they're deeply passionate about, what they can be the best in the world at, and what drives their economic engine.
Also, it has to make sense, financially too.
Absolutely. It has to be something that you can actually make money doing and that you can be sustainable doing.
Yeah. Right. Right. So all three of those things have to be in alignment.
Yeah. It's like this Venn diagram, with these three overlapping circles, and that's where the magic happens.
So once a company's found as Hedgehog, it's like,
Yeah.
okay, this is what we're good at. This is what we love. This is what makes us money.
Yeah.
Then what? Like, how do they actually make it happen?
You need the right people, right?
Right.
You need a team that's going to help you bring that vision to life.
And that's where I think Good to Great gets really interesting again, because it talks about this idea of first who, then what.
Yes. Love this concept.
Which sounds kind of clumsy, right? Because you'd think you'd need to know like what you're doing before you start hiring people.
Do you think so, right?
Yeah.
But their research showed that, no, the great companies, they got the right people on the bus first.
And then figured out where to go.
Exactly, because they understood that if you have the right people in place, they're going to be able to adapt to whatever comes their way.
Okay, so how do they find these right people?
Well, it's not just about like skills and experience, it's about finding people who share the company's core values. People who are, really passionate about the missions, people who are willing to learn and grow.
Right.
And this is where it gets tough because, sometimes you have people on the bus who are, maybe they're decent performers.
Yeah.
But they're not quite the right fit.
Like they're not fully aligned with.
They're not fully aligned, yeah. And great companies, they're not afraid to make those tough decisions.
Oh, so they're willing to let people go even if they're not terrible.
Yeah, because they understand that in the long run, keeping the wrong people on the bus, it actually hurts the whole organization,
Yeah.
It slows things down. It can create kind of a toxic culture.
And it prevents the right people from getting in those seats.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got the right leadership. We've got a clear hedgehog. We've got the right people on the bus.
We're ready to roll. Now it's all about momentum.
No, man.
Yeah, and Collins talks about this thing called the Flywheel Effect.
The flywheel effect.
It's this idea that, at first when you're trying to make something great, it takes a lot of effort.
Right.
It's like pushing this giant heavy flywheel.
Yeah, you're pushing and it's not really moving.
Exactly. But you keep pushing consistently in the right direction,
Yeah.
following your hedgehog concept.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually the flywheel starts to pick up speed, and then it starts spinning faster and faster, and pretty soon it's almost spinning effortlessly.
Like it's self-perpetuating almost.
Exactly. And that's when you really start to see those breakthrough results.
I love that analogy. It's kind of like, building good habits in your own life.
Totally.
You start small,
Yeah.
you stay consistent, and eventually those small actions add up to something really powerful.
Yeah, it's the compound effect, over time.
Exactly. So what about the opposite of the flywheel effect? Like what happens when companies lose momentum?
Well, that's when you get caught in what Collins calls the doom loop.
Oh, the doom loop.
Yeah, and this is where companies, they start making reactive decisions. They're chasing quick fixes, they're jumping from one initiative to another.
Right. They're kind of all over the place.
Yeah, they've lost sight of their hedgehog.
No consistent strategy.
No, and it's just this cycle of, like frantic activity, but no real progress.
Like they're running in circles.
Exactly, exhausting themselves, but not actually getting anywhere.
So how do the good to great companies avoid this doom loop?
Well, one of the key things is they're very good at confronting the brutal facts.
Ooh, sounds intense.
It can be, but it's essential. They don't sugarcoat things, they don't pretend problems don't exist.
So they're honest with themselves.
Yeah, they're willing to look reality straight in the face, even when it's painful.
So how do they balance that, that kind of like harsh reality with still staying motivated and optimistic?
Well, that's where this idea of the Stockdale paradox comes in.
The Stockdale paradox.
Yeah, it's named after Admiral Jim Stockdale, who was a prisoner of war in Vietnam. And he noticed something interesting. He said that the optimists, the ones who were like, oh, we're going to be out of here by Christmas,
Yeah.
they were often the first to break.
Because Christmas would come and go.
Yeah, and their hopes would be dashed and they'd be crushed.
Right.
Stockdale realized that you need to acknowledge the brutal facts of your situation,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, you have to maintain this unwavering faith that you will prevail in the end.
Okay, so it's like a balance.
Exactly. It's like a realistic optimism,
Right.
You're not denying the challenges, but you're also not giving up hope.
And this ties into building a culture of discipline, right?
Absolutely, because you need that discipline to stay focused, to keep pushing the flywheel, even when things get tough.
So it's not about being like super rigid or anything.
No, it's about having clear goals, value standards, and then empowering people to act within that framework.
Okay, so everyone knows the rules of the game,
Exactly.
but they also have the freedom to make decisions and to take ownership.
Yeah, and that's how you create that culture of accountability and continuous improvement.
So I guess that the big takeaway here is that moving from good to great, it's not about some magic formula.
Right.
It's about a commitment to getting better every day.
Yeah, it's about humility, being willing to learn and adapt, courage,
Yeah.
To face those brutal facts.
And discipline to stay focused on what really matters.
It's a journey, not a destination.
That's a great way to put it. And, while the book focuses on companies, I think these principles can apply to anyone, really.
Yeah, totally. Whether you're working on your career or a personal project or just, trying to be a better human.
So as we wrap up here, I want to leave everyone with a question to think about.
Ooh, I like this.
What's your hedgehog concept?
Good one.
What are you deeply passionate about?
Mm.
What could you be the best in the world at? And what drives your engine?
Yeah, take some time to really reflect on that.
Yeah, those are some big questions, but thinking about them,
Mm.
might just help you move from good to truly great.
To greatness in your own life.
Exactly.
I love it.
All right, thanks for diving in with us.
Of course, this was fun.
Until next time.
See ya.